on top of him walking away from his Supreme Court reform proposal, on top of him walking away from his filibuster proposal, on top of him walking away from his perception that Medicare for all is a compromise position between a government-run health care system and a private system with private insurance, he said, well, I mean, to be honest, this, I guess, was almost 9 months ago, that Medicare for all, a publicly financed insurance system for all people, was a middle ground position. Here he is, even tacking further from there. He's now even disavowing a position I feel like he had a month ago. But
you used to be for broader Medicare for all. You didn't qualify it in any way. Is your main argument against Medicare for all now that it can't get passed or that it won't work?
Look, I think it could very well be the long-run destination, but I think there's got to be some humility in our policy here. Let's put this out there and see if it's really the best plan for everybody. I think it will be the best plan, but I'm not willing to assume that it is the right plan for you out of Washington and order you to take it whether you want to or not. If it's the right plan, then everybody will move to it until it is the single payer. And if it's not the right plan for everybody, then we're going to be really glad we didn't kick some Americans off their private plans. I'm thinking, for example, about a lot of union members who fought and negotiated for good plans they have today. They don't want to have to abandon those plans because Washington tells them they must do that in 4 years or less. It doesn't make sense. And the most important thing is we can get to universal health care coverage without putting America through all of that, without kicking people off their private plans, without disagreements to the tune of $10 or $15 trillion over how much this is going to cost, which is equivalent to the entire GDP of the country. We have a plan that is affordable, that is paid for, and that allows you to choose instead of Washington choosing for you. And it's the boldest thing we will have done to American healthcare in a half century.
Okay.
For who? Who's it affordable for?
Now, the bottom line is one would never, ever say this with an infrastructure policy. Like, we're going to put it out there, and if you like new roads and you follow the new road, it's just absurd. He won't answer the question. Is it not politically viable, or is it you don't think it'll work? Because he can't. Because if he does, then he'd actually be taking a position. What he's attempting now to do is just literally, and you could substitute humility with what we need is a plan that is obtuse so that no one can actually tell us what it is and say that it's bad. And this use of Washington is just absurd. This is a guy, and I just heard this, we just talking about this in the office today. He won his election. How many votes did he win to win his life? 8,500
Jesus Christ.
votes. He became mayor, this politician, with 8,500 votes. Now, listen, here it is. He beat the Republican who had 2,000 votes. I will tell you this right now, that I ran a school-wide election in my high school, and I got almost 1/4 of the votes that he got.
Wow. He is truly the inheritor of the Macron mantle in terms of being this like neoliberal mad king.
Well, my point is just like this is a shell game. I don't even know that he is I don't know that he's anything. It's like, this is a guy who is running on this notion of like, I know what it's like to win in the heartland. And he got 8,000 votes.
And also let's be really clear about this too, is that I always make the comparison to Amherst, Mass, because that's like the town I know. And my understanding, I mean, I guess South Bend is maybe like 20,000 more people, but extremely similar, like small college town. And there's problems in Amherst and of course, but the difference being is that he wins this election in this tiny town and then has like major city problems in terms of racism and policing, none of which he's addressed in any substantive, serious, let alone respectful way. He was a major proponent of gentrification. And the thing, I do think he's neoliberal in the broad sense, but I think even more to the point that I did read that piece in the New Republic about him, and the really fascinating thing, which I think is totally true, is that he is stuck in this moment in like 2004, which is not a particularly inspiring place to be stuck, where he's just obsessed with rhetorical games in terms of the GOP and how you match them on framing. Not even on the current issue set, on like the Bush era set, which is why he uses so much national security language. Also, his like national service plans. I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to national service, but I was just saying, like, if your instinct is not about top-down directed and having like humility about the federal government, you probably shouldn't have so many proposals that like make college tuition and debt forgiveness and all these really elemental things contingent on
Right.
doing
Can we
like
opt into
AmeriCorps. Right.
I'd like to opt into those. I don't want Washington to tell me I need to pick up trash to get college loans.
I mean, seriously, let's have humility about how everybody gets health care in the most efficient way,
Or,
but not
I get an
about
idea.
national, like, mandatory service or strongly encouraged service ideas.
If humility is so important, maybe we should just like ratchet it down a bit since we only got 8,500 votes.
Humility
Oh
is
my
a very, very Chris Coons type of word for that.
No, he's like if Patrick Bateman decided he was going to be the new Obama.
It's hashtag centrist authoritarians, folks.
All right. So,
Right.
but this